So there's been lots of channels out there already, right, who have reviewed the book from a competitive standpoint and talked a lot about what's effective, what they think is point efficient, combos. I highly recommend checking all of them out. I'm sure you guys, if you found my channel, I'm sure you guys have watched the other channel. Aspect Tactics is great from a competitive standpoint. He's very knowledgeable. Ash is also great. Ash is great from a different perspective because he's got a lot of game developer and industry knowledge. So he's very knowledgeable about rules trends and how the back end and the thought process that game companies make when they make these kinds of rules. He has great insight on that. Please check them all out and support the community of content creators before, you know, GW throws a fit about that. Whatever. In the meantime, though, what I want to talk about is the narrative behind some of these rules. So, I'm going to kind of I'm going to skim over some parts here. Combat Patrol, this is the Combat Patrol box. It's fine. It's 20 Zangors, which is the max you can take now. 5 Terminators, which are good. And the Infernal Master. I'm a little concerned because Hexfire has the Infernal Master and the Get Started has the Infernal Master. I am concerned that you're not going to be able to buy the Infernal Master on his own. So people who have 1,000 Suns, you already have tons of Terminators and a billion Zangors. It might be a little rough to get the Infernal Master. With that said, like you probably also have 15, 9. You have at least 9. Let's not kid ourselves. You have 9 sorcerers that you've kit bashed together. Call one of them an Infernal Master. GW can go shove it on that respect. You can always use 5 more Terminators, let's be honest. And maybe you might want to start an Age of Sigmar army. Alright, let's talk a little bit about here. Chapter approved rules, right? So if every model in your army, not including unaligned, has a 1,000 Suns keyword. So if you're playing pure 1,000 Suns, your Warlord has the 1,000 Suns keyword, right? If that's an option, obviously, if they can. Then you get some additional things like some secondaries. And these are actually really nice. These are match play rules, right? From a narrative perspective, this gives you the flavor so you can play your 1,000 Suns how they narratively are depicted in the lore. Warpcraft, mutate landscape, where the 1,000 Suns tread. The ever-changing energies of Tzeentch seeps into everything. The once stable nature of reality unravels. Flora, fauna, even the very land itself erupting into uncontrolled mutation or transmogrifying into weird and unnatural forms. I love it. I love the flavor text. I love that also that it's short, right? 2 sentences. It tells you in those 2 sentences what what's going on, all right? And obviously you select the Psyker, you get a psychic action, you mutate the landscape. 1 Psyker from the army can attempt to perform this action when you're within range of an objective marker that has not been already mutated. Key point. If the psychic action is successfully completed, the objective marker is said to have been mutated, and the warp charge value of the psychic action is increased by 1 for your army for the remainder of battle. You score 3 victory points. It's just such a douchey 1,000 Suns thing to do. It's like there's this object out there, people are trying to fight over it, and it's not enough for the 1,000 Suns to just capture it for themselves. They have to corrupt it. And they have to corrupt it psychically, use warp power. It's just great. I love the imagery behind it. And it's actually a pretty good one to do considering how many psychers you have. It doesn't say it says any psyker can do this. You have sufficient psychers. And it's an action that happens in your psychic phase. You don't have to, so if your psyker can cast multiple powers, he can still continue to cast. If you have just an aspiring sorcerer, and there's not anyone else in range to throw a smite on or something, you can just do this ability, generate some victory points. This one is fantastic, and I can see it being extremely competitive as well as extremely narrative. Let's see here. Wrath of Magnus. This is a great one, right? 1,000 Suns are the ultimate masters of sorcery. Magnus the Red demands that they prove his dominance on every battlefield over which they fight. putting to shame the feeble efforts of those psychers who refuse to recognize their own inferiority. I love it. The arrogance of the Thousand Suns is 10 out of 10 with this flavor text. You can only select subjective if your opponent has one or more psychers, obviously. Score 3 victory points at the end of the battle round if more enemy models than friendly models were destroyed as a result of psychic powers, right? Which is just amazing, especially if you consider that there are some armies and their psychers are utility psychers, right? Unless they're going to waste their psychic power on smite, which they're probably not. They're probably using it to buff their army if that's what it's for. And you, obviously, as a Thousand Sun player, over half your spells are for just nuking the opponent and laying out mortal wounds everywhere. And I can just see at the end of each turn, your psychers are just shit talking. They're psychically shit talking the other psycher, calling him that he's a weak bitch, he ain't got shit. You know, it's like, what is he doing hiding in the back of the army? He ain't shit. Like, that's such the... And that might not even be what the other psycher's trying to do, but that doesn't matter to the Thousand Suns, right? They're just going to talk shit. And this is another fantastic one. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't just take Warpcraft and No Mercy. I mean, you wouldn't take No Mercy if there's no psycher to shit talk. But if there is, and even if they have a battle psycher, 1 or 2 battle psychers is not going to put out the same amount of damage as your 6 or 12, however many psychers you got on the table, because you've got them all, and they've got maybe 1 or 2 at tops. There's no contest. That's basically free points every turn. It's fantastic. Shadow Operations, Burn Empires. It's a progressive and endgame objective. For the galaxy to be reborn according to Magnus' glorious vision, first it must be consumed in the fires of change, the old order burned to ash, that something better might arise. And that's also speaks of Magnus's continued arrogance, right? He part of the Psychic Awakening, I think his portion of it is he was trying to gather together latent psychers and just psychers from across the galaxy, offering them a safe haven on the planet of the sorcerers, you know, and in such a devious way also. Like, he would gather them in groups of 9, and one of them would be sacrificed so that the other 8 may ascend to paradise. And all of this is such a ruse. It's like the timeshare of psychers in the 40K, right? Like, Magnus is like, look, you can come, you can live here. It's a safe place for you to learn how to use your powers. You know, you're not shunned like the Imperium says you are. You're blessed. You're the next evolution of humankind. There's a small fee. There's a small fee that some of you must pay willingly, so that others of you might be able to prosper. And people willingly pay that. There was a narrative piece that was so good that the people, they convinced them, and someone will always volunteer to be sacrificed so that the others may live on in happiness and prosper. And it's the best worst part about it all is Magnus believes everything that he says. And that's what makes him such able to sell this idea to these people who are otherwise shit on by the Imperium. It's great. And this just kind of continues Magnus's arrogance and his great plan. What he views as his great plan. What Tzeentch views is probably like a part of his great plan that's going to lead to Tzeentch's great plan, obviously. If you select this objective, Thousand Suns Infantry unit can attempt the following action. It's a little rough because you only have so many Thousand Suns infantry units, and also they're kind of expensive and need to do a lot of work, you know. But let's see. They can perform an action at the end of your movement phase. Each unit from your army that performs this action must be in range of a different objective marker. Okay. A unit cannot start this action while there are enemy models. Yep, that's pretty standard. Action is completed at the start of your next command phase, which kind of negates their ability to do anything. That's rough. Let's see if it's completed. The objective marker is said to have been burned. Score 4 victory points each time a unit from your army completes the Burn Empire action. Last one, Sorcerers Powers. One amongst the ranks of the sorcerers leading this thrall brand seeks to complete a sacrificial ritual of great power. They're all sacrificial rituals of great power. That's all they do. The foes' witches must be slain one by one, and their potent souls offered up to the name of greater glories. 5 victory points at the end of the battle for each enemy Psyker character that was destroyed by a Thousand Suns unit from your army. 3 victory points for every enemy Psyker unit that was destroyed in the psychic phase. Oh, okay, so you gotta kill Psykers in the psychic phase. That's rough. That's rough. Obviously, you only take this if you're playing against Grey Knights, maybe Demons, maybe Eldar, maybe. You gotta be real careful where you choose this one, as there's not a lot of armies that this will really apply to. But this one, and you have to do it in the psychic phase, which you're gonna put out damage in the psychic phase. This one's rough. This one's real rough. Cool idea. Very cool narrative. But rough. Definitely rough. Ooh, detachment abilities. All right, this is one of my favorite things that got added in to the 9th edition Codex. Is so previously, what it was is the units could pay command points to get upgrades. They were stratagems. They basically took all of those stratagems away, replaced them with better stratagems. So that's already awesome. And now, instead of stratagems and spending command points at the start of battles, you just pay power level or points and apply it to the characters during your army building, which is a little bit more throwbacky to the old, older style games where you just paid for upgrades. Very much like the 3rd edition, where it's like the build your own demon prince kind of like thing. So you can buff your dudes. There's a lot of great ones here. Let me see here. Gonna adjust this mic a little bit here. So Legion Command, your Exalted Sorcerers, there's 3 of them, right? You can go Rehadi. The Rehadi are the private personal bodyguard of Magnus. They're like his most loyal rubric and sorcerers. They were his original guard back in the days of Old Prospero and the 30k. You can do Paradigm of Change, add 1 wound, that's great. Deliante, model can be given 1 additional relic. That one's pretty hotness. It is 2 power or 35 points, so it's not cheap. But you get an additional relic. So there's a character who can be rocking 2 relics, which is such a, from a lore perspective, like the Thousand Sons have collected relics. So yeah, why wouldn't they? They steal relics. They take all relics are Thousand Sun relics. The only time that they don't steal relics is when they gift them to a particular Space Marine chapter that may or may not be a successor chapter of the Thousand Suns. But whether they are or not, Armon definitely seems cool with them, where he's like, yo, your chapter master, I knew him. We was bros. We's cool. When Armon's not even willing to fight them, he just wants to sit down, talk the old days, give them the old lore, maybe give them a gift or something. Just saying. There's some lore. I know GW originally, well, interestingly, for lore, the 8th edition Chaos Codex, I believe, has this Space Marine chapter listed as under watch by the Inquisition, and there is an undisclosed where their gene seed comes from. So there is definitely a lot of speculation amongst those in the know of the Imperium, and there's either way, Armon seems cool with them, so therefore I'm cool with them. I might build a force. They like relics. We like relics. Just saying. Then we've got your sorcerers, and your sorcerers in Terminator Armor can get upgrades. You can get Loyal Thrall, Witch Warrior, and Battle Psyker. Obviously, the theme kind of goes along with that. And then your aspiring sorcerers or your Scarab Occult sorcerers, that's the ones that lead the squads. They can get upgrades too, which is actually super cool. That's even an option, right? So you can upgrade your Exalted Sorcerer, which is your big fancy one. You can upgrade your regular sorcerers, and you can upgrade the aspiring sorcerers. They can be Ardent Automata, Protege, and Rites of Coalescence. Super cool. I very much appreciate that they gave a little bit of something for everyone. Jealous Tyrant, obviously. Only one Demon Prince per detachment. No shock there. There was, back in 8th edition, a time when the only Thousand Suns that you would ever see in any kind of competitive or high tier, high level type game is a Thousand Suns detachment of Supreme Command consisting of Armon and 3 Demon Princes. It used to be like Armon and 4 Demon Princes, but Games Workshop was like, nah, none of this like 5 Demon Prince nonsense. And then there was a minute where Thousand Suns Demon Prince was technically a different data sheet from Demon Prince, which was technically a different data sheet from Death Guard Demon Prince. So you had Armon, 3,000 Suns Demon Princes, 3 Demon Princes, and 3 Death Guard Demon Princes. And technically that was legal. And people were like, no, stop being a douchebag about that. Even though, like, narratively, Armon and 9 Demon Princes is such a lore. It's such a mood. I mean, obviously, right? Armon and 9 Demon Princes, come on. It just reeks that this was meant to be, as planned. But GW then, we're like, no, all Demon Princes are Demon Princes, just stop being an asshole. And from a competitive standpoint, you were just being an asshole. But that's also the will of Tzeentch, and so being an asshole is the way. But now, in addition to the rule of 3, 1 Demon Prince per detachment. You run triple detachment, knock yourself out, but you're paying for that in command points also. So there's a good balancing to that one. With that said, Armon and the Demon Prince still pretty staple, right? All right, talking about the Cults of the Legion. These are great. They got a Psychic Power, a Warlord trait, and a Sorceress Arcana. And even your most basic Psyker, your Psyker that just leads a 5-man Rubric squad, no Smite, 1 power of your choice, and the Legion power. So they got 3 Psychic powers that they can choose from. That's already fantastic and shows the flexibility of the Psykers in the Thousand Suns army. I love that. Cult of Mutation. Cult of Mutation is not my favorite, lore-wise. To face the masters of the Cult of Mutation is a horrifying experience indeed. Such champions of Tzeentch possess the ability to take all that is pure, natural, and order and twist it into ever more wildly out of true until all that remains is abomination and monstrosity. Not gonna lie, actually, that kind of sold me on Cult of Mutation a little bit, just the level of dickery that they have. All right, Cult of Prophecy. I'm going to slide this book over so I can read it. So hopefully it... Cult of Prophecy. Those who lead the Cult of Prophecy into battle do so with the calm self-possession of those who already know how matters are destined to transpire. Their unholy abilities allow them a dreadful advantage over their foes, for who can fight an enemy that already knows your every move before you make it? Douchey. That's some Armon shit right there. Why he's such an ass. That's why we love him. Cult of Time. The Cult of Time is directed in battle by sorceress champions whose gift it is to read and manipulate the linear flow of time itself. Such beings seem almost godlike in their power, for they can alter the time at which events transpire, or prevent them from ever having happened at all. I like it. I like Cult of Time. Do I like it more than Prophecy? I like Time more than Prophecy, but maybe not more than Manipulation. So that's where we're at so far. Cult of Scheming. Those who rise to rule over the cult of scheming are perilously cunning indeed. Their enemies can trust nothing, not even their own thoughts and plans, for the distortion of intent and seeding of mistruths that this cult perpetuates into every aspect of their surroundings. They're liars. They're just a bunch of liars. Let me slide this back over here so you guys can see that. There you go. There you go. Sorry, cult of scheming. Cult of magic. Mighty indeed are the cult of magic, for they embrace one of the most fundamental powers of Tzeentch. Explosions. Explosions. With incantation, artifact, and terrible will, they remake reality to their liking, or else unleash devastating energies upon their enemies that transmogrify their mortal forms and hurl their streaming souls into the Imperium. They are to be torn apart by rapturous demonic entities. Nice. Cult of Knowledge. To those who lead thrall brands of the Cult of Knowledge are privy to the galaxy's darkest and most dangerous secrets. To those who lead thrall brands of the Cult of Knowledge are privy to the galaxy's darkest and most dangerous secrets. Those they use to their greatest potential, leveraging advantage over the foe through forbidden lore or unleashing upon them the time-lost relics of Stygian galactic vaults. Cult of Change. Anarchy erupts wherever the champions of the Cult of Change cast their gaze. They are agents of instability, instigators of rampant change for the change's sake, and whether that be in the physical nature of the worlds they invade, the power structures of those who defend them, or the fundamental essence of reality itself. And these people are also some haters. Cult of Duplicity. It is impossible to predict the actions of those who lead the Cult of Duplicity into battle, for their plans and allegiances are often hidden, even from one another. The only constant in such a battle is inconsistency, for perpetual misdirection and the sowing of confusion are by the means by which they keep up their enemies off balance. And Cult of Manipulation. The foe can never be sure whether they are striving to defeat the champions of the Cult of Manipulation, or in fact are being gulled into doing their bidding. The malevolent skill with which these warriors twist all about them to their will is terrifying. Their cunning and their spite know no bounds. Alright, then you get into the stratagems. There's lots of stratagems. They're fantastic. I'm not going to go into the narrative of each stratagem, but there's a lot. I'm super happy also that they took away all the stratagems that are like, spend 1 command point to get this buff for this game. Yeah, no. Now you just pay for it on points, and they replaced them with other, even better stratagems. So thank you. Thank you, Games Workshop. Warlord traits. Warlord traits are good. And the Infernal Packs. That's the new hotness for the Infernal Master, who is basically a chaplain. Relics. There's some sweet relics here. I am very happy at all the relics. Whether I use them all is irrelevant. I think that they're extremely flavorful and very fun. Psychic powers. So, one of the extremely nice things that they did is, rather than having one table with 6 psychic powers, there is 2 tables, and there are 9 psychic powers, which essentially gives you 18 powers with which to choose from. 10 out of 10. Thank you, Games Workshop. I super appreciate it. Whether or not, even if there's 1 or 2 that are kind of crap, it doesn't even matter. Like, there's still 18 powers to choose from. In fact, half of them could be crap for all I care. That's still 9 more powers that are great. I'm very excited to go through this. I'm not going to read through each psychic power. Other better people, better suited to telling you how good these powers are, have done their reviews on it. But just know that 18 psychic powers is fantastic. Plus the 9 additional psychic powers that you get just for picking the cults. So technically there are 27 psychic powers in this book. Thank you, Games Workshop. 10 out of 10. I appreciate that the Thousand Sons are the lore stealers that they are. Alright, so I've decided, I've been filming for quite a minute here. I'm going to make the Crusade Rules be a separate video. So I can kind of just really dive into it, get into the Crusade Rules here. But for those of you who are just checking out this book, I'm just going to kind of page through the book right now. You know, like, just kind of see what's going on, skim it myself. Now you've got Discovering the Arcane. This is particularly cool. This is their Crusade narrative. As you play games, you can generate arcane points and use them to buy Crusade specific relics and other things, or a Crusade specific psychic power. Super fun, very cool. We'll go into the narrative of that. Spending your requisition points, turn yourself into a demon, you know, the usual good stuff that any good Thousand Sons sorcerer would want. And a name generator. I like that. I like that. When I show off the new army, I might do the name generator. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Alright, showing off an army. Crusade army. I think these pictures have been seen before. I don't think these pictures are per se new. Here we go. Data sheets. Alright. The important one being here on this side, this is the Cabal Points. So basically at the start of each turn, you generate Cabal Points, another CP that you generate. So a little confusing. Thanks, Games Workshop. You could have named it anything where the letters were not C and P, because now there's multiple things that I track that are labeled C and P or CP. Thanks. You could have labeled it anything different, but you didn't. Little oversight there. With that said, so it's a use it or lose it system, but you generate them at the start of each turn for whatever's left on the table. So obviously as things die, you get weaker. And then you spend the command points, the Cabal Points. See, I'm already doing it. You spend the Cabal Points to get some different effects. And it looks like there's a bunch of them where you can also reactively spend the points. Like Kindred Sorcerer uses Ritual after taking the Psychic test, add 1 to the Psychic test. So, if you fail by 1, pop 5 Cabal Points. Oh, there you go, now you passed. Or maybe, you rolled an 8, and you need that 9th, that 9th plus 1. You need that plus 1 to get the 9 plus, so you can trigger a certain ability. There you go, Kindred Sorcerers. I'm not going to talk about every data sheet. People better than I, again, have talked about these data sheets. But there's a lot of great little fluff text, on the side. Talks about the Disc of Zeech. Sorcerer and Terminator Armor. I haven't built a Sorcerer and Terminator Armor. I should. I feel like something I should do. I like that they repainted a cultist. They painted me a slightly different cultist that aesthetically matches. Good on you. I appreciate that. It's the little things. Rubric Marines. They're good. Obviously, if you are playing Thousand Sons, you own them. You're going to field them. Hellbrutes. I don't like Hellbrutes. I'm going to come on record here. I don't like Hellbrutes as much as I liked the Forge World Legion specific Dreadnoughts. I thought the Forge World specific Legion Dreadnoughts were better. Okay, just to throw it out there. Yeah, Terminators. You got them. They're good. They're a little expensive. Power 10. They're not cheap. But they'll do work. They will do work. Rhino. The most important thing about the Rhino, Arcana Astartes, right there, faction keyword. Arcana Astartes is what gives you the 5-up invulnerable save. Bless. Vortex Beasts, have one of those, painted by Tony. Shouts out to you, Tony. Gonna be doing a video on that. Vindicator, Arcana Astartes. Land Raider, Arcana Astartes. 10 out of 10. Land Raiders and Vindies with 5-up invuln saves. Hell yeah. Here you go. Defilers, Forge Fiends, Mauler Fiends. Yep. They're demonic, so they also get the 5-up invuln. Different predators, right? You got the Destructor, you got the Annihilator. They are Arcana Astartes. And the Helldrake. For you Chaos players out there, this also gives you a glimpse at what the Chaos data sheets will look like. I'm near positive that they're basically going to be the same. And Magnus himself, 23 power in all his glory. Do be aware for anybody who plays competitively, do remember that the latest chapter approved book was released before this book, but it contains updates to the points cost for the Thousand Suns. So, if you bought this book, remember that these points may not be the most accurate. There is a chapter approved. Please reference that if you are competitively playing. For the rest of you narrative players, whatever. Not important. Then you have weapon profiles. Glossary, right? Reference sheet. Just some basic obvious stuff. Easy to find. And the big red D himself with his horn nipple armor. Good job. There you go. Hope you enjoyed this glimpse at the narrative side of the Thousand Suns Codex. Again, if you enjoyed this and you like this kind of content and would like me to do more, I own at least half of the codexes for 9th edition. I'll probably own more than half by the end of this thing because they haven't even gotten to the books that I like yet. So if you're interested, leave a comment down below. Let me know which codex you would like to see, if there's any that you'd like to see, or if you just want to see them all. I'll just start doing them all for content. So thank you very much for checking us out. And please like and subscribe if you want to continue seeing more content like this. And keep in mind that the next upcoming battle report will be Thousand Suns and Grey Knights. Salty Shy is taking on the job of painting up the Grey Knights. He's got an idea for a paint scheme. That's a little twist on the Silver Grey Knights. Obviously, I've got tons of Thousand Suns. I also know that next month the Orc Codex is released. As you know, we have an Orc army. So we're definitely going to be doing a battle report showing off the new Orcs as well. So again, please stay tuned. We hope you enjoyed hanging out. We appreciate hanging out with you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace out, everybody.